how to stab it out for good. Hello and welcome to the channel. I have been encouraged to carry out my threat to release a how to stop smoking video by a few comments egging me on in my last video on the deleterious effects of smoking on health. I duly oblige because it feels like unfinished business if I tell you all that's wrong with smoking, which you already know, without me then coming out to give you pointers as to how to quit if you so wish. I think it's fair to declare that the majority of long-term smokers wish to kick the habit, and the only reason they haven't so far is because they cannot for one reason or another. And not that they can but won't. If you are someone who, despite all the information on the harmful effects of smoking, you really want to continue smoking, even though you could stop smoking if you try to quit, please raise a hand in the comment section. I would like to understand why you have this stance. We need to talk. And this might just be the point. It is said that nicotine withdrawal is something like 80% psychological. We are not even talking about a physical addiction here in the main. Smoking is a hostage situation, basically, with the best example of Stockholm syndrome there is. The smoker tells himself or herself that they need the nicotine, even though this is not actually true. And they will find all kinds of excuses and tricks to override any logical argument to the contrary, and the need to kick the habit to the curb. Now, there are established methods to quit smoking and detox yourself from the effects of nicotine. But then, of course, it depends on what exactly we mean by quitting smoking. If the point is to reduce withdrawal symptoms and cravings of nicotine itself, making it easier for individuals to focus on breaking the behavioral habit of smoking, then nicotine replacement therapy, NRT, is your go-to strategy. NRT products like nicotine gum, patches, lozenges, inhalers, nasal sprays, they all provide a controlled dose of nicotine without the harmful chemicals found in tobacco smoke. However, and I hope you have already spotted this flaw, NRT relies on the belief that you somehow need the nicotine and that you can't live without it. Similarly, prescription medications can help people quit smoking by reducing nicotine cravings and withdrawal symptoms. Two commonly prescribed medications are bupropion, Zyban, and varenicline, Chantix or Champix, depending on which country you live in. Bupropion works by affecting the neurotransmitters in the brain, the hormones that work on the brain to give different cells in the brain certain messages, helping to reduce cravings and mood-related withdrawal symptoms. Varenicline works by blocking the effects of nicotine on the brain's reward system, so your dopamine receptors in the brain, reducing both cravings and the pleasurable effects of smoking. So, what is this nicotine, and why do people feel such an attachment to it that they feel they cannot live without it once they have been exposed to it for any amount of time? Nicotine is an alkaloid, a class of naturally occurring organic compounds that contain nitrogen and have pronounced physiological effects on humans and animals. Yes, sadly, you can make an animal a smoker. I'll say no more on this subject. It is found in significant quantities in the leaves of the tobacco plant, Nicotiana tabacum, if you want the Latin name of the plant. And smaller amounts can also be found in other plants like tomatoes, potatoes, and eggplants, although these quantities are not enough to produce any noticeable effects. So relax, everyone. Just having some fries with your fish dinner does not make you a nicotine addict. Chemically, nicotine is a stimulant that affects the central nervous system, so the brain and your spinal cord. The stimulating properties of nicotine are what makes it so appealing and addictive to users. But it also has the opposite effect, in that it also relaxes you. Once nicotine enters the bloodstream, it crosses the blood-brain barrier and binds to nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, which are widely distributed throughout the brain and body. These receptors are part of the nervous system and are involved in many functions, including muscle contraction, attention, and memory. One of the primary effects of nicotine is its stimulation of the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, reward, and motivation. This dopamine release creates a feeling of euphoria or satisfaction, often referred to as a nicotine high. And it really is a high. This surge in dopamine is a key factor in nicotine's addictive potential. Nicotine can temporarily improve attention. Note the word temporarily. It can also improve focus and cognitive performance. All of these effects are only temporary. Many smokers report that nicotine helps them concentrate or feel more alert, especially during tasks that require mental effort. However, as I already mentioned, these effects are short-lived, and over time, the brain becomes reliant on nicotine to function at what it perceives as a normal level. Nicotine also has a variety of physical effects on the body. It increases heart rate and blood pressure by stimulating the release of adrenaline from the adrenal glands. This can lead to a state of increased alertness and energy, but also puts stress on the cardiovascular system, heart and blood vessels. Nicotine also constricts blood vessels, which can reduce blood flow to vital organs and tissues. Remember the risk of amputation or impotence from smoking in my last video? That's due to this effect of nicotine. Interestingly, nicotine can have both stimulating and calming effects depending on the dose and the individual's own tolerance. Many smokers use nicotine to manage stress or anxiety, experiencing a sense of relaxation after smoking. This dual action of stimulating and calming is part of what makes nicotine use so appealing and at the same time hard to quit. This addictive quality stems from the way nicotine affects the brain's reward system, particularly through the release of dopamine. When nicotine is consumed, it creates a pleasurable sensation, and the brain quickly learns to associate nicotine use with this feeling of reward. Over time, regular nicotine use leads to physical dependence, where the brain adapts to the presence of nicotine and requires it to function normally. Without nicotine, individuals may experience withdrawal symptoms such as irritability, anxiety, difficulty concentrating, and intense cravings for nicotine. These symptoms drive many people back to smoking or other forms of nicotine use, perpetuating the cycle of addiction. But this physical addiction makes up only 20% of the addictive quality of nicotine, believe it or not. Many smokers associate nicotine use with certain activities like drinking coffee, having a drink of alcohol, socializing, taking a break at work. These habits and environmental cues make quitting nicotine even more difficult as they trigger cravings and reinforce the behavior. So this is where the psychological input comes in, because if you associate smoking with a nice activity, a relaxing activity, when you take away the smoking, your nice activity no longer feels complete. While nicotine itself is not the direct cause of many tobacco-related diseases, its addictive properties drive people to consume tobacco products that contain harmful chemicals. Cigarette smoke, for example, contains more than 7,000 chemicals, many of which are toxic and carcinogenic. Long-term smoking is associated with a wide range of health problems like lung cancer, heart disease, chronic obstructive lung disease, and stroke, as we already learned in my last video. In addition to smoking, nicotine can also be consumed through vaping or e-cigarettes, which have become increasingly popular, especially amongst the young. While e-cigarettes do not contain the same harmful chemicals as combustible tobacco products, they are not without risks. So, if in fact you don't need nicotine, and for sure not the carcinogenic chemicals in cigarettes and vaping, then you can see why any kind of nicotine replacement is only ever, at best, a temporary solution. So, how best to truly and long-term stop it out? How about hypnosis? Hypnosis is a clever, underhand way you can bypass your own stubbornness and willfulness and receive instructions that you respond to. That all seems like a good plan to me, and it usually helps. Yes, your conscious mind is temporarily inactivated while your background subconscious mind, which remains awake even when you are put under in a hypnotic session, receives the subliminal affirmations or suggestions from the hypnotist. Could this work? Absolutely. But even here, I see a flaw. In order to fully commit to anything in life, your whole being needs to be in agreement with it. Not just part of you, not just your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind needs to be on board. Otherwise, it is bound to fall or fail at some point down the line. So by all means, try hypnosis if you think it'll help. But there is another way. Counseling and behavioral therapy for a start, which play a crucial role in helping individuals to quit smoking. Behavioral therapy helps people identify the triggers that lead them to smoke and develop healthier coping strategies. This can also include stress management, relaxation exercises, and problem-solving skills. Therapy also helps individuals build self-confidence and stay motivated throughout the quitting process. Many smokers find success with individual counseling, or perhaps even group therapy, or even telephone quit lines. But you can go further with this on your own. I call it the hold no prisoners or Rambo technique. This is where you go all in like Rambo on a mission and confront the problem head on. It is not for the faint-hearted, of course, but it is the best way if you want nothing less than 100% result. It is not as radical as you think, and secretly, let me tell you in a whisper that it's actually the easiest way. The key to winning with the Rambo technique is to prepare yourself well for it in advance. Remember when I mentioned at the start of this video that smoking addiction is mostly psychological? I didn't say that just for fun and giggles. I said it to enable you to utilize this information to your advantage. It is a mind thing. You have to see yourself as a non-smoker before you even start to quit. And this is actually technically true. I have never, ever seen a baby born with a fag in its mouth. And I have had to deliver a few babies as part of my training. So, quitting smoking is a bit of a homecoming for you. You are returning to your natural state, how God made you. My experience with addiction comes from years of treating patients who, for whatever reason, found themselves addicted to tobacco, alcohol, prescription medications, hard drugs, and even non-medical habits like something ending in orthography and even popsicles. Whatever the addiction, even when there is a wish to end the addiction, sadly the push to do something about it does not come about until the person afflicted literally hits rock bottom. That means that the person is so fed up and sick and tired of the addiction that there is literally nowhere else to go but up. As a famous celebrity once said in a TV interview, you get so tired of your own masculine bovine manure that you get up one morning with a new resolve to take matters into your own hands and you never look back. In many ways, those who manage to quit smoking cold turkey fashion have passed through this point in their addiction story, no doubt. You take the bull by the horns because you have to. So, somewhat controversially, I encourage anyone who seriously wants to quit smoking to binge on smoking for a few days. Do nothing but smoke. Smoke, smoke, smoke until you are sick of it. Literally sick of it. Even better when you end up in hospital because of a particularly bad bout of asthma, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, or a pneumonia that threatens to send you into intensive care. I am serious. After this episode, you are ready mentally to finally quit. Then pick a moment when you will do it. Not a moment of stress, when you have an exam, when your first baby is about to be born. Hopefully you are not the mother because you wouldn't be smoking anyway in pregnancy, right? Or when your company is about to close on a measure. Pick a low-risk, stress-free time. Why? Because nicotine is a relaxant. As we already heard, it also has stimulant effects, but let's ignore that for a bit. So when you quit smoking, you lose a relaxant effect. It means you get stressed. So control your environment whilst quitting. Keep the stress levels low. Find a substitute activity you will do when not smoking. You see, this is why you will need to plan ahead. Try out this activity. Do you enjoy it? Is it hopefully less harmful than smoking? It makes no sense, of course, to swap one bad habit for another. Most people pick a sporting activity that is quick to do and easily accessible because, remember, it is meant to replace smoking once an urge hits you and you didn't see it coming, but you have to react quickly. Otherwise, you find yourself smoking again. You must get your head straight on smoking before you quit it. Hopefully, the motivation to quit would have been sorted out by the consequences of your binging. But are there other benefits of smoking or quitting smoking, I should say? You must have that conversation with yourself in your head. Is smoking expensive? The answer should hopefully be yes, even if you're a millionaire. Is smoking a socially dirty habit? Yes, your clothes stink and your child with asthma always coughs a lot when you're in the room. Does smoking make you calm, or do you just associate it with calmness because you always drink when you smoke? And is the alcohol that which makes you calm? Think about it. Hopefully, you will figure out the lies you have told yourself over the years about the benefit of smoking because you were searching for excuses not to quit. Which brings me on to what I shall call co-offenders, partners in crime, your smoking friends. You will have to cut ties with them for a while until you are immune to someone literally blowing smoke in your face. Meaning your facial muscles won't twitch and you won't reach out for a cigarette when this happens. The alcohol has to go. There are two reasons for this. The first is, if you associate alcohol with smoking, every time you drink alcohol, you will also want to smoke. The second is, if you one day overdo it with the alcohol, even if you miraculously got drunk without the concomitant smoking, what happens when your inhibitions are reduced by the alcohol? Yes, you are most likely to fall off the wagon if you indulge in another addictive activity like alcohol binging, which opens up the back door to your smoking addiction again. Don't do it. Quit the drinking as well, preferably in advance of quitting smoking. If it is at all possible to get at least one other person on board with you on your smoking cessation journey, that would be gold for you. As they say, a problem shared is a problem halved. If your spouse is also a smoker, why not quit together? Or a friend or a sibling. If you are both on the same page with regard to the smoking cessation, you can encourage each other. You can console each other as you face hurdles together, like the withdrawal symptoms or losing motivation to go on, etc. Read copiously, research, and watch videos on quitting smoking. Immerse yourself in the world of smoking cessation. It's almost like learning a language. Immerse yourself into it. There is a ton of information out there. Get busy. Go all in as part of your Rambo technique. You are not ready to quit smoking if you cannot give a 1-hour lecture on smoking cessation. That's how much of an expert you need to be on the subject to guarantee yourself a chance of winning. Celebrate all the milestones. I am not talking just the months and the years of going ash-free. Also the minutes, the seconds. Post 674 minutes tobacco-free to your social media. Why? Because every second, every minute counts on this journey. It is incredibly hard. Do not wait for months to pass before you start congratulating yourself. Start the celebration now. Then you really feel like you are on the journey. Because beating addiction is a forever journey. You will be doing it for the rest of your life. People who have achieved massive weight loss will tell you this. It can always come back. You will have to stay vigilant and bat off the temptation to restart smoking till the end of your days. And this is why the best way to beat a smoking addiction is never to start. Say no to begin with. Don't begin. If you must have a smoking adventure, watch the lives of others who smoke. Live through them vicariously. But don't touch the fag yourself. I hope this video answered your question about how to quit smoking. I know it's not easy, It's easier said than done. But the good news is millions of people quit smoking every day. Why not you? If you have anything else on your mind about health matters, why not ask a doc?